When he looked down, he stopped dead in his tracks. He was looking at something he had never seen before in his life. The bottom of the river contained the indentations of giant footprints. What animal had been there and left this? He had just calmed down when he heard a noise behind him. He spun around only to find something he had never been prepared for. It was one of the hottest days of the year, with temperatures hitting all-time highs. The sun engulfed the Texas neighborhood in sweltering heat, and the air conditioning worked double duty to keep Anthony cool. To make matters worse, Dallas was in the midst of a drought that had been seen for a long time. The drought would have an impact Anthony never saw coming. As much as he loved living in his hometown of Dallas, and as grateful as he was for his air conditioning, Anthony Jones wished the heat would let up. Droughts tended to make life much more difficult. The water supply was always compromised. In extreme cases, the reservoirs would dry up, leaving nearby residents worried and thirsty. But Anthony wasn't worried about that. Anthony's greatest love was hiking. Several hiking trails south of Dallas are close to his heart. But that was another reason he despised the heat. It was a nightmare to hike in the scorching heat. Dehydration and fatigue came much faster, which he would have to be careful with, and he would have to wear an uncomfortable amount of revealing clothing. His father instilled a love of hiking in him. When he was younger, the two would hike the Dallas trails, and his father taught him everything he knew about living an active lifestyle. His father was only 50 when he died of a heart attack. His death taught Anthony that no matter how healthy you tried to live, your life was not guaranteed. Coming to terms with his father's death was not easy for him, but he decided to continue walking in his father's name. It was his therapy during his tough times. The drought had taken its toll on his favorite hiking spot. If he had known, he would have stayed far away, never to return. His favorite trail was in a beautiful spot south of Dallas with a river running through it. Paths cut through and around the river while trees hub it closely. It was the ideal meditation spot for Anthony to clear his head. He had no idea what he would find as a reminder of the site's dark history as he delved deeper into the trail. It was a Saturday morning when Anthony packed his bag for the hike. He wanted to meditate on his favorite path and had to pack extra water because of the heat. He also threw in some energy bars when he got hungry. It wasn't a long drive to the trail, but Anthony was unaware that the 15-minute drive brought him closer to the danger. He parked and went through the gate. It didn't take long for him to feel peaceful as he walked through the fresh air and heard the sounds of nature. He kept walking, looking forward to reaching his favorite spot. He was 20 minutes from the river, but he wouldn't believe it when he saw what was there. Anthony had arrived and couldn't believe his eyes. The river had dried up, leaving little to no water. He could see practically the entire riverbed. He stepped where the water used to be and felt excited as he made his way down. That was before he found something that chilled him to the core. Anthony stopped dead in his tracks. He slowly looked down and noticed something he had never seen in his life. There were footprints left by something large at the bottom of the riverbed. But what animal could have left her? Just as Anthony's initial shock wore off, he heard something behind him that made him whirl around. But nothing had ever prepared Anthony for what was to come. Anthony spun around and saw a man standing behind him. He was too well dressed to be a wanderer. It was clear he could see his confusion and introduced himself. He was a professor at the University of Texas and was just as interested in the footprints as Anthony was. Anthony, still confused as ever, asked the professor what the footprints had left. It was a burning question that poked at the back of his mind. But he wasn't ready for the answer. The professor told him it was an Acrocanthosaurus, a dinosaur that inhabited the region over 100 million years ago. Intrigued by this discovery, Anthony was keen to learn more about the large extinct lizard. He asked for more information about the dinosaur and was willing to learn as much as possible. The professor smiled and taught him some new things he didn't know before. Anthony learned that the Acrocanthosaurus was an ancient giant. An adult weighed over 7 tons and stood 60 feet tall, looking down on many other dinosaurs. What is unique is that the Acrocanthosaurus consists of only one species. The large lizard was a predator and would hunt other dinosaurs and other animals to eat. But that didn't explain the prints. The professor also offered an explanation for the footprints there. Due to excessive drought conditions last summer, the river dried up completely in most places, allowing more tracks to be uncovered here in the park. Under normal river conditions, these newer tracks are underwater and are usually filled with sediment, making them buried and not as visible, he said. Anthony was happy with the explanation, and now his favorite spot meant even more to him. To protect the privacy of those depicted, some names, locations, and identifiers have been changed and are the product of the author's imagination. Any resemblance to any actual event or place or person, living or dead, is purely coincidental.